Here we go.
Cut the fix up with some Xbox babies, put the switch up. See me gearing up for war, don't get it mixed up. I come in peace, kid. I'm bringing commentary and the new releases. I put them hours in to get prepared now. We play on expert level, don't be scared now. I'ma destroy you when I'm forza, I can tear down. If you ain't tuned into the channel, keep your head down. Cut the fix up with some Xbox babies, put the switch up. See me gearing up for war, don't get it mixed up. I come in peace, kid. I'm bringing commentary and the new releases. I put them hours in to get prepared now. Play on expert level, don't be scared now. I'm more than I can tear down. If you ain't keep your head down.
Yo, yo, yo. I'm sorry I jumped in with yo, yo, yo. I really feel regretful for that. What's up, everybody? I don't know who was all here. I saw Gray. What's up, Gray? Thanks for being here, brother. I did not post an advert for this show on Twitter at all, so I'm going to do that as I talk. And, yeah. But in the meantime, in between time, thank you all for anybody who is here right now. I can't see you just yet, but I will shout you out in a moment. Danny, my co-star co-host, what have you been up to, brother, and how have you been?
You know, I've been good, I think. Not a whole lot's been really going on. I went and saw that their new Twisters movie last night with some friends of mine.
How did you like
really
it?
Good.
Really good
movie. Yeah. I don't necessarily think it's like, it's not the type of movie where people are going to be like nominating it for Oscars or anything like that, but it's incredibly fun. The cast is really good pretty much across the board. Glenn Powell plays this like storm chaser from Arkansas who's like a hick redneck type, and he is so charming.
Choice. What a perfect
oh my
choice.
God. He's amazing. He's so good in it.
I like that dude, man. It was a post on Twitter where they were talking about Booster Gold. I'm kind of you know how some people get upset when you be like, well, I want the character to look like the original character. I'm one of those types where I'm not to the extreme, but I do prefer for the characters to look like the characters I've grown up reading and such, right? So
Sure.
they were talking about Booster Gold, and I'm like, and somebody mentioned him, and I'm like, I didn't even think of that. How perfect would he be as Booster Gold? I think he would work well as him.
You know, the stupid thing is, I think he might actually be too charming to be Booster Gold, because Booster Gold's like kind of a shit.
Yeah.
Plus, we did get we got like, I mean, it's not confirmed, but we got rumor mill casting that implies that he might have been, that Booster might have already been cast. As Kumail Nanjiani, which I don't mind, but I just don't really care for Kumail Nanjiani. I just don't think he's funny.
I don't think he's
not
funny
as
at all.
People seem to think he is.
Yeah, I said the same thing. That's why I protested. I'm like, nah, I don't like this casting. And people were like, oh, racist.
I didn't necessarily mind the casting, and I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that I personally don't really care about Booster Gold like at all.
Okay, well that explains it.
Yeah, like I don't like hate him. I'm just like, whatever.
I see.
So I saw the casting and I was like, sure, whatever.
like whatever.
It's some like, to me, it's like some C-string guy getting cast as an actor that I don't particularly care about. And I'm like, whatever. Like, I'm sure he won't be important. But no, Glenn Powell, he's fan casted for all kinds of shots in the DCU. People want him as Hal Jordan, which I think would be great.
Oh yeah, he
people
works
want
him
as
sure. Yep.
I think people fan casted him as like Aquaman. Like, there's a bunch of roles that he's been fan casted in. I think Hal Jordan's probably the one
could see even Aquaman, but I wouldn't want him as Aquaman.
Not necessarily. Yeah.
Hal makes a lot of sense actually. Now that you say that, so yeah, I can see Hal too.
Yeah, we'll probably get casting on that pretty soon because I think that Lantern show is like relatively soon in comparison to the other things in that docket.
Yeah.
But speaking of the DCU, good old Superman himself is in Twisters.
Oh, he's in it. Oh yeah, you know what?
He is.
He's
like
his...
the villain, sort of. I mean,
Oh,
the Tornado's the villain, but he's an asshole.
He's an assistant to the Tornado villain.
Sort of.
I actually saw I think it was some type of snippet somebody posted. I don't know what, little I don't know, account on Twitter posted it, but they were saying that he found out about him being cast as Superman while on the set of Twisters.
On set. Yeah. And I had heard that before somehow. Like, I remembered Glenn Powell having a story about him hearing that he had gotten cast. For some reason, like, didn't piece that together to mean that David was in the Twisters movie.
Right.
I was just like, oh, right. So he showed up in the movie like pretty early on. I was just like, it's that guy. Whoa, no way.
Yeah.
But casting top notch. I really think that they did a great job. Like, everyone was great. The effects were great. I do feel like, without spoiling anything, I really feel like this movie was like built for the 40X theaters, where they like shakes your seat and throws water in your face. Like, this is exactly the type of movie you should see in that kind of theater.
That's funny, because somebody was just asking. They were saying they have tickets for the Deadpool and Wolverine movie, and it's at a 40X theater. And they were like, "What is it?" They like, "What is 40X?" So I had to look it up. I didn't even know that was the date.
That just means that they put one of the controllers with his butt in your hand while you're watching it.
Right, because it gives you motion enabled seat that can move around, vibrate and rumble, and you get like wind, strobe lights, scents.
Yeah, scents, and they like throw water in your face. It's like being on a I don't know. I don't want to say low budget theme park ride, but like, you know what I mean.
Yeah,
it's like when you go to the tiki room or whatever.
I was like, I saw it. I'm like, wait a minute, what do they mean scents? Like, what scent are you going to get from Wolverine and Deadpool? Like Wolverine taint?
I guess.
Yeah,
smoke. I don't know. Nothing good.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. What could it possibly be? I don't think it'll be anything positive.
Yeah, but I started watching something else also.
What's that?
I don't think I talked about it last week, but I started watching the original Star Trek series.
Oh, nice. Which one?
Last weekish.
With Captain Kirk or
with good old Kirk and Spock?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Star Trek, the original series.
Nice. What made you do that? What gave you the thought to?
I have a friend who's been trying to get me to watch it for a really long time.
Yeah.
And we decided to make content based around it. So I just started watching it. And I'm like 6 episodes in now, and it's weird because on one hand it holds up really well, in terms of like, honestly, the way it looks is pretty impressive for the fact that it came out in the 60s. The writing of it in some places is a little like but it's a little bit like, wow, everyone is really uncomfortable with the fact that there's like women on this ship, huh? Isn't that strange? But there's so much like really cool about it too, because you look at sort of the history of the show, and it's so massively impactful. Like the fact that this show started in like 66, right? And it so that's, I think, like 2 years after what was the big Martin Luther King march? I think Selma, right?
Selma,
the Selma
yeah.
march.
Yeah.
I think it was like 2 years after that. And I don't know if God, what's her name? Nichelle something Ahura, if she participated in that, but she was certainly like impacted by it heavily. And she's in this. And then the guy who plays Sulu, George Takei, he grew up, like when he was a kid, he was alive during World War II, and his family was in some of the Japanese internment camps in America.
Wow. Yeah.
So the fact that we are watching this show, it must have been incredibly impactful at the time, to see specifically these two people as like front-facing bridge crew cast members on this apparently very popular show is incredible. And there's actually a fun story about it where so Nichelle Nichols, I'm pretty sure is her last name, who plays Uhura, she was gonna quit the show between season 1 and season 2 because she'd gotten a lot of offers to like go do Broadway and stuff. She was a trained singer and dancer and all this stuff,
right? And
she went to, I want to say it was like an NAACP event. It was something to that effect, right? And she had already told Gene Roddenberry, the showrunner for Star Trek, the original series, that she wanted to quit because of all these reasons, right? And he was like, okay, hold on, take the weekend, come back, and if you still feel this way, like on Monday, then all's fair in love and war. I'll let you go or whatever, and it'll be fine. But I want you to think about this because this is an important thing.
Right.
So she goes to this event, and one of her like assistants or something, I don't know, someone comes up to her and says, hey, there's a fan here who wants to talk to you. And she's like, oh, okay, I'll go talk to this nerd. Because at that point she's really only known for a TV show called The Lieutenant that she was barely on, and Star Trek. So she's like, clearly this is a Star Trek fan. I'll go talk to some sweaty Poindexter and let him know, like, oh wow, hey, it's great to see you. Wow, okay, bye. That fan, as it would turn out, was Dr. Martin Luther King.
Oh wow.
He was at this event and he spoke to her, and he was talking to her about how, like, oh, me and my family watch you every week, like you are so important. And she's like, yeah, I really loved my time on the show. And he was like, whoa, you're saying that like you're leaving? And she's like, well, yeah, like I didn't have a great time on the show. Like I'm not getting like the fan letters, because there's a whole other side story where like people used to write fan letters into their favorite characters, and the production company wasn't giving them to her because she was getting a lot, but she was a black woman, so they were like, well, you can't get more than Kirk, that's impossible, like, so we're going to keep these. And so she thought she was like not a fan favorite at all.
Oh wow.
And he comes up to her, he says, no, like this is you can't just quit, like this is so important. My kids get to see you on TV in a position of power on the bridge, being the smart, powerful black woman that they could grow up to be, that they should grow up to be.
This is what Martin Luther King said to her.
This is what Martin Luther King is saying to her.
I wonder how he really said it. No, I'm sure
he
sister,
said it a lot better than I could ever.
You cannot quit. Let freedom ring. Let me stop playing with Martin Luther King.
But he's saying all this to her, and she's like, yeah, okay, damn. And so she's like, you're right, like I won't quit the show. So she goes back to Jean on Monday, and she's like, you're right, like I don't want to quit the show. And Jean pulls this is all in an interview that she was giving. Apparently Jean pulls the like 2-week notice like letter out of his desk, and it's already been ripped into like 100 pieces, and he's like, yeah, I know.
That's dope though, man. I mean, imagine a legend, an icon like Dr. Martin Luther King coming up to tell you don't quit a show. Well, you can't quit now.
And like at the peak of like his whole movement, right?
Yeah.
He's showing up and he's like, I know I'm doing all this stuff. Also, I love Star Trek.
Right. Of all things, right? Who would have thought? Who would have thunk it?
So it's a weirdly, like, for the time, very progressive show. And then also there's a lot of weird things where like there's a character who I don't think is a particularly popular character. I don't know if she sticks around long term, called Rand, Yeoman Rand. And she's just like basically Kirk's assistant, and she seems to almost exclusively exist to be a target for sexual harassment. The like 6 episodes that I've watched, there's like characters are like walking up and slapping her on the ass. Characters are like fully trying to assault her. Like,
they're slapping her on her ass.
Yeah, there's an episode called Charlie X where a kid who like doesn't know anything about life shows up, and he's like, "Is that a woman? I've never seen one before." And then he like, within 10 minutes of being on the ship, slaps her on the ass, and Kirk's like, well, hold on now.
Immediately his animal instincts kick in. He's like, oh, I must slap ass.
He had like seen an engineer slap his friend on the ass as like a good game, sort of like sportsman-y sort of thing.
It makes me think of that damn Key and Peele skit. Slap ass. Slap.
Yeah.
That's something though. I didn't know they did that on it. Like, I've never really watched those older shows like that. I've seen like 1 or 2 here and there, like when late at night when you stay up, like when I was really young, and I would see it and I was like, I don't want to watch this, and I never really paid quite enough attention to it. It's like my introduction into Star Trek was really with Sir Patrick Stewart. Now, that's if any show of theirs, Next Gen, that's the one I really probably watched the most, if any, out of any of them, where I gave any time to. But that's dope, man. How are you enjoying it compared to I guess to Next Gen? If you've watched,
well, I have watched some of Next Gen, but not a lot.
Okay.
I think I watched like maybe maybe 10-ish episodes, like the first maybe third of the first season. I don't know that I can really compare them at the point that I'm at, because really the only thing I can say at this point is I think I like the crew better in next gen.
Okay.
But I don't know, maybe after some time I'll like balance that out a little bit.
Maybe. Yeah.
It's the Star Trek the original series feels very like almost military in the way that their ship is run, whereas next gen, at least as far as I was aware, always felt more like a science thing, like more of an exploration. We're going to go find out what's out there, whereas the original series has always felt, or in the 6 episodes that we watched, feels more like it's like a battleship that happens to get caught up in some just real BS.
In between Kirk landing on some random planet and finding some woman to get with.
Yeah, well, because when the original series starts, okay, it's complicated because there's 3 different first episodes of the show, apparently, depending on who you ask.
Really?
But in one of them, it starts like a week after they've had some like massive space battle, and so like they like lost some people and some people are injured, and they're like sort of coming down off the horror of being in this like big war. So like it is very much a military craft in the original series, and I never got that impression from Next Gen.
Okay. Well, yeah, man, that sounds interesting. I'm glad you gave it a chance. I'm like, that's pretty dope.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna keep watching it. Like it's a good show.
Gray wanted to make sure you understood that Battlestar is better.
I have no idea. I've never watched Battlestar, so maybe I'll do that later or something.
Let me tell you. Have you ever? So you've never seen any of like the Battlestar Galactica? The
I mean, I know like what a Cylon is.
Okay.
I don't know. I have not seen a single episode of Battlestar in my life, or Stargate for that matter.
I've never watched any of the Stargates either. I will be honest. I've seen like clips and snippets, but I've never watched it.
Yeah.
But as far as Battlestar Galactica, I loved it. And I'm not talking about the old school 70s version either, Gray. I'm talking about the 2000s or whatever it was. It had to be the 2000s, early 2000s version. 2011, 12 maybe? Mid 2000, I should say.
Something like that.
Yeah, that was actually really, really damn good to me. Starbuck and crew. Oh man. And if I had put a buddy of mine on it, actually, my bandmate, and he said, "Oh, I didn't like it." I was like, just lack taste. But I loved it. I thought it was spectacular. The music choices and cues when certain things get unveiled and happen, and you're trying to figure out. I'm not going to give too much away, but it's so many twists.
Honestly, by the time I watch it, I'll probably have forgotten. But
yeah, it's so much that I think that if you watch it still, you would actually love it. So I don't want to give anything away.
Yeah,
like it's a lot of surprises and twists and turns in it, and it's just so well acted, and it always felt like dire straits. Like, hey, if we don't do this crew of last pieces of civilization, that's it for mankind. That's what it felt like, and so I really want people to check that out. Let me give a shout out to some of the people in the chat. We're kind of light right now, but that again, I know it's a lot of stuff going on, and I didn't put that advert out until a minute ago. So if you guys see it on my Twitter, please share that out to try to get some more people to come through. So shout out to first and foremost Gray Monad. What's up, brother? He says that November is way too packed now with Stalker 2 again being moved to November 20th. Absolutely. It's a lot of games in September. Spider. Is it Spider 8? I think it's Spider 8. Spider 8, what's up, man? Dion, what's up, bro? Palpatine, what's up? Brad Ward Fight, what's up, my fellow Ragoon? And it's Timmy Jr. What's up, bro? And Abdel, talk that shit. What's up, bro? And Soil Tech, what's up? Thank you all for coming through. I appreciate you guys. What about any gaming? Have you been playing anything, Danny?
Not really, unfortunately. I started playing because I told you, I think last week or 2 weeks ago, that I had played Banjo-Kazooie. So I started playing the sequel to it, Banjo-Tooie, but I have made very little progress. It's fun. I like it so far, but I've barely done anything.
Yeah, no, I get it. Now, as far as I have the game on the screen is what I have been into heavily this past week, and I mastered it, as we've come to a consensus off Boom Show. I forgot who gave the thought up, but yeah, I've mastered it. So I have all 1,000 out of 1,000 achievements for it. I came away from this game really enjoying it. It was at a point my top 3 games announced at that Xbox showcase, where I was like, oh yeah, I want to like this. It's going to be good, etc., etc. It definitely has flaws, and some people did not give it another chance and kind of did away with it like within an hour of playtime. And I kind of get it, because it has a lot of jank at the beginning, it feels like, and it doesn't register. The iframes don't register as well as they should, as a typical Souls game would. This is not really a Souls-like game. It's a Souls-light. So it has elements that a Souls game would have in it, you know, to being able to dodge or parry, for instance, the way you lock onto a single enemy, things of that nature. So it has elements of it, and, you know, the general kind of aesthetic of that world, although this looks far less dreary than a Souls game. But yes, it has those elements, but I would put this more in the camp of a God of War. And I played through this, man. I really enjoyed it. Again, it has its issues. The story is not super, it's a good narrative, but it's not a strong story, if that makes sense. It's like, it's not, the cutscenes are not engaging. They're like, And I thought the game ended kind of weird. Like, it definitely was an ending, but it was like, oh, and then, okay. It just felt like it ended abruptly. Like, I thought I made a mistake and pressed something and cut the cutscene out. But other than that, it has a lot of good positives about it too. So what I did is I had made an impromptu review of this game, and I posted it on Twitter. I got a lot of good feedback from that. And one of the things I got was people asking me to post it to K.S.T. and Everborn's GCP blog, which, you know, some of our people in our community, from Brisket to Black Viking, to Kay and to John Wolf, have all shared, you know, articles and things like that they've written, and videos and stuff. Like Kay is making side content videos, for instance, as he's done with the Fire Stick having the Xbox streaming enabled into it now. And really good videos. And that's what I was telling you about, that you got to definitely make sure to put some of your stuff into that.
For sure.
Because I know you're a writer, and you write, and, you know, you're doing your DCE, you rewrite things of that nature, so it'll be perfect for you. And I wrote my first official review of a game with this. And man, it turned out all right, man. I think it turned out really, really well. My first time ever doing something to that level. I was at first was a little like, I haven't used Microsoft Word as heavily as I used to, so I was kind of like, okay, what do I press for this? What do I need to do? You know, it felt like it's foreign a little bit, but I worked my way through it, and I think it turned out all right. I'm just waiting for Kay to do his thing on it as far as editorial and SEO and things like that.
Oh, gotcha. I was going to ask for you to drop a link, but I guess
I don't know. I don't think he uploaded it yet because he hadn't contacted me. But he said he was going to try to get it done today. So I don't know if he had got to that point. But if you guys are not aware of K.S.T.'s and Everborn's blog, definitely be on the lookout for that. I'll see if I can post it in the chat, the link for it, while we talk in a few. But yeah, he's going to post it, man. My first official review. I'm excited. I hope people read it and check it out. I think it's pretty decent. I got some really positive feedback, man. Just off the impromptu. Yeah, off the impromptu one. I was happy. I didn't think anything of it. I thought I was just writing up a little something of my thoughts. And people were like, oh, this is really well done. You could tell this is a gamer that wrote this. Like, I appreciate your honesty, et cetera, et cetera. So I really appreciated that. It really made me like, oh, okay. You know, made me want to put more effort into doing it for future games and things like that, which I might do. So I really enjoyed it. As far as the game itself, it's about roughly 16, maybe to 20 hours. Depending on how you play. Me, I'm the type where, and it's a semi-open world type of game, I'm the type where I'm going to go to every nook and cranny. So I have it well over 20 hours. I got probably about 30 hours because I just overplay. You know what I mean? And I wanted to, you know, I'm an achievement thought too. So I wanted to get all those achievements, and you kind of have to grind a little bit to be able to do some of the upgrades and things like that you earn from the reputation But overall, decent game. I ended at a 7.5 out of 10 score, which is good. You know, it's short of, it has some issues that stop it from being great, but it is good, I would say. So if people can push through that initial kind of jank and issues that you may have with it, I think you'll end up liking the game. A lot of nice platforming. You may have seen it a second ago where Nor, the lead character, uses that fox next to her, Inky, to travel through rifts. And so they have all types of things like that, and verticality. It's really good. It's really cool. So yeah, Abdel said he's wrapping up Dead Rising 3 as we speak. Nice.
Oh, cool.
Oh, Spider 13. Okay.
That's like the last of the fun ones.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dead Rising 3 is, in my opinion, a step down from 2, but still pretty fun.
Yeah. You know, I just realized I said Spider 8, and I'm like, wait a minute, X is 10. Oops.
Oh, yeah, that's 13. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm an idiot. I don't know how I didn't. Yeah, anyway, we're going to ignore that. Spider 13. My bad, brother. Oh, Grace says there's rumors of a new BSG in the works. I hope that's true, too. Yeah, that'd be dope. I mean, well, I don't know if it'll be dope. I think it's going to be kind of hard.
Wait and see.
Yeah, because it's kind of hard to me to capture that magic every time, and I don't know if they'll do it. But hey, I'm open for it. Open for it to being solid. Palpy said he started with Modern Warfare 3 campaign. First 2 missions, liking it so far, especially the first. You know, the first mission I think is really solid, Palpatine. But the problem I had with Modern Warfare 3, and I haven't finished it yet, and I was actually gifted that from that blue number, is that it's very obvious not a traditional style campaign where it's like, oh, check out all these cutscenes and this crafted mission stage. It's kind of like some multiplayer levels, like on the mission 2, where you kind of got this open, like dock area. It doesn't feel like a traditional campaign mission, so it's some kind of deviation from the standard, in my opinion. But I didn't dislike for what I played. I think if you compare it though to 2019's, I think it was 2019's Modern Warfare, that one just felt well crafted. Like you could tell that was, you know, made from scratch as an actual campaign. Those missions, all of them. So, but yeah, enjoy it, Brad. I hope you like it. I have to finish that up too, so I got to get back to that and finally get rid of this 200 plus gigabyte monster off of my hard drive.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous. But yeah, so yeah, guys in the chat, give us a thought of, or let us know what you've been playing besides Palpatine and Gray. I think did you name what you were playing, Gray? I don't know. Let me see who it said. Oh no, it was Abdel and Palpatine so far. So yeah, everybody post what you've been playing and things like that. Maybe we can speak on it a little bit. Oh, I'm hoping it comes to it as well. Palpatine, it should. All of them should be on there, as far as I'm concerned. Says Abdel said, Danny, did you finish BG3 yet? I'm now in Act 3, but I'm stuck.
BG3.
Sorry, still on Battlestar.
Oh, Baldur's Gate.
Baldur's
3?
Gate, yeah.
Yeah. I rolled credits on that. Yeah, sorry, it took me a second to realize what you meant. Yeah, I finished that game. I'd be interested to know where you got stuck. The Act 3 for me, I think, was where the bloat really started to set in for me on that game, where like there were so many things you could do in that city and so little of it mattered, you know, where it's like we're on a really tight time crunch, but I'm also going to go and mess around in the sewers for 20 hours. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like it started like not making sense at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd be curious to know where you got stuck.
Where did you get stuck, Abdel?
In the city inside a huge building, but I need some sort of permission. Oh, right. Okay. So what he's talking about is when you first get to Act 3, the city of Baldur's Gate is like on lockdown or whatever, and they won't let you in for a while. I think you just have to go like off to the right of the area that you're in and have like a really sketchy conversation with one of the main villains, and then that should pretty much clear it up. They won't let you into the city because you haven't done like the one conversation that they want you to have out there is the only thing. And then you should be able to go back up there and they'll like let you through, I think. I might be wrong on that.
Abdel, do you ever look up any guides online, like on video tutorials? Maybe not tutorial, but walkthroughs. You could check and see what they did on that specific part, and just kind of keep it moving from there. Just as a heads up, I suppose. If I get stuck in something too crazy, I just look it up. Like, all right, so I don't want to spend all day trying to figure something out. But
yeah, the fight you're talking about, that one is really tough. But I also don't think you have to win it. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure. I think when I did that fight, I don't think I like killed everyone who was there. I think I got to a certain point and then like someone showed up and let me through. God, I don't remember. I'm sorry. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a long time since he. Okay, I'm sorry. Anyway, anyway, guys. By the way, this won't be a super long show today, and we mean it this time because it's not a lot of different gaming news to talk about. But I do want to talk with you guys about. Yeah, right. But I do want to talk to you guys about content that you guys would like to hear us discuss. So if you could, just something that's unique, I guess, or something that you would like and that you don't see other podcasts really talk on in gaming or whatever, share that with us. What's your thoughts on things you would like to hear people speak on that you don't feel is talked about enough? For instance, my buddy Casual would often talk about Warhammer. Talk about Warhammer. Like, I'm like, okay.
I'll talk about Warhammer. There's not a ton of news that comes out of Warhammer though.
Yeah, he said it was a new book he got because they just released it. I guess it takes about 5 years development for them. So it's a new book with the Rets, and now Ret is going to be
like
a
a
god.
novel?
Yeah, and a new board and all that, and I don't know how it all works. I'm still learning. But he paints the models and stuff like that. If you guys go to our Discord, you could check into the Warhammer channel I made on there. You'll see all of his posts about Warhammer models and figurines and stuff like that. He's painting and stuff like that. I'm sure he would love it to have people critique or comment on it. He's sensitive though. Don't critique him too hard. He might cry. but yeah, like if you all have thoughts on things like that you all would like to hear. Yeah, your feedback is definitely important and matters to us. So definitely want to cater to that as well. You know what I mean? Give us something that you don't get from other channels that you would wish that people would speak on. And, if it's in our wheelhouse, we'll definitely try to do so. Bobby Hawk, we're not going to talk about PlayStation too much because we hate them. No, I'm joking.
They're not really doing much to talk about, unfortunately.
I know, right?
Positive or negative, I don't think they've really done anything for the last couple of weeks.
It's true. The only thing they have that's kind of, I guess, negative is Concord because it's
I've got that on the rundown too. If you want to just jump in on that,
let's jump in on that. Here's our news roundup, guys.
So hey, Concord's a bust. It turns out, shocker. I know. So according to SteamDB, the free beta that dropped, God, I don't know how long ago now. Was it like last week or something?
Yeah.
Had a peak player count of only 2,388.
Wow.
So not good. That's barely enough to start filling lobbies.
That's crazy, man.
It's not great. And this is the second beta they had. They had one before it where you had to have pre-ordered the game to have gotten into it, and that one had significantly more people in it. And so I almost wonder if people did that first beta and then we're like, I'm good actually, and just like didn't come back for more.
Yeah, because the first one was on the 18th, I believe, right? Or something like that.
Maybe I could not possibly remember the dates, but there all I know is there was a previous one. But yeah, it's just I think this game, I don't necessarily think like it's a bad game. I think it's just like I don't think there's anything about it that like really sets it apart and makes it special. Like I look at the characters and they're all really generic and really boring. I've had a couple friends play it and they've all told me like it's not bad. There's just better. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, in a really competitive area like a live service game, that just means that this game really doesn't stand a chance. You know?
Yep. And that's the thing. Like we've talked about it on other shows, and I mean, we spoke about it on Booms, and one of the things I pointed out was like everybody sees it. We know what it is. I'm not the biggest hero shooter fan for one, so I'm not going to play these types of games. But if I was, I'm likely going to go to something I know that's guaranteed to be more polished, typically, and more populated. So I'm going to get matches and things like that, possibly more quality matches in games like Overwatch, which is free to play. Why would I pay $40 to be in a bare bones empty hero shooter
to play a objectively kind of worse game,
right?
Not necessarily bad, but just not as good.
As good.
Then you're paying to get into this thing that's not as good. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, why would I do that?
Agreed. And the whole idea of charging $40, I still don't understand that thought. And I know they want to recoup some costs, but the thing is weird because you're getting into a live service typically by it's de facto of what it is, you're going to get that for free to play. So I don't know what they were thinking about in it going in that direction.
I really think that's just PlayStation meddling at that point. I think that PlayStation feels that they have like this really high prestige for all of their games, and they're like, oh well, we're not going to put out a free to play game. There's no way that not our first party, we can't put out a game that's free to play. That would diminish the prestige of our walled garden. And I think that while they have put out a lot of really good games in the past, A, I don't think this is one of them, and B, I think that that mindset will actively hurt not only this game but probably a lot of their games going forward, because this then begins to beg the question that I've seen a lot of people asking, where it's like, you've canceled so many other live service games that you were working on, and there's at least 2 more that we know about in Marathon and Fair Games coming out whenever. And it's like, if this is the quality of game that you're willing to put out, where it's like fine but not amazing, not like really holding anybody's attention, what does that mean for whatever game Deviation was working on? Like, what was the situation with that game? How bad was that one? How bad was Factions, that you had to go and cancel all these other games, but then this is the one that you decided to put out, right? Like, how bad was Spider-Man? That's what's the situation here, where like you had all of these different horses, one of them in the shape of Spider-Man, and you decided to bet on this.
Yeah,
like, I don't understand that.
I don't get it either. And one of the things I said was, if you're going to do this route and untested multiplayer, live service game, one, free to play would have made the most sense. 2, I think Sony has to get out of this walled garden thing that you were just mentioning, and you're going to probably want to have that on all platforms. I don't see why you would limit yourself to just PC and PlayStation. When PlayStation gamers, and you know this as well, Bobby Hawk, they don't look for that from first party games. They'll definitely play Call of Duties and the Fortnites. Sure. But they're not looking for that from first party games typically. And Palpatine kind of hit it on the head. Like, if they would have gone with, it's obvious a Guardians of the Galaxy, I don't want to say ripoff, but it's inspired clearly.
Definitely inspiration, yeah.
So, and made a story game, solo co-op, I think that would have worked better too. I agree with that 100%, Palpatine.
I very much agree. I think I kind of understand the idea of that, though, to an extent, where I think that they are trying to expand their audience. And so I think that's why they were doing all the, like, we're going to do these character vignettes, and every week there's going to be a new cutscene, is I think they wanted to, like, bridge that gap of, like, there is a story, but mostly it's a competitive shooter, because that's what the fan base wants. Or not their fan base, but, like, the fan base of competitive, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, we want to attract this new style of players to our ecosystem, where historically that's not like the hardcore competitive shooters have never really been like particularly well serviced on PlayStation. Like, they go there because it's the top of the market right now, and so like that's where a lot of third party games are. But I think if they don't start figuring out better first party games to keep that audience in tow, I think now that like Halo and Call of Duty and all these other things are over on their competitors' platform. Obviously, Call of Duty is still staying on PlayStation, but like, you know what I mean. Now that that's directly funding the competition, I think they're going to be not necessarily in trouble, but I think we're going to see a pretty decent amount of movement from that fan base over to the Xbox side of things. I wouldn't be surprised for a second.
Yeah, no, I can see that for sure. Bobby Hawk had mentioned in the chat, he says he always finds it funny when people use free-to-play games compared to $40 games. Everybody who has seen Concord already knew you didn't have somebody looking bunny girls. It wasn't going to win. I mean, sure, I understand what you're trying to say, Bobby, but at the same time, outside of that, because I know that, to be fair to him, there have been some people who, the whole anti-DEI crowd, who have just ruined gaming discourse, in my honest opinion.
Discourse everywhere, honestly, not just gaming.
Yeah, and everything is just ruined. The whole DEI. I've even seen it in politics now. It's like,
yeah,
it's crazy.
There's nothing more upsetting to me than seeing like 70-year-old senators talk about DEI like they know what it means.
Right, when you all have
like, I know for
the biggest handouts possibly of all the people in America, where you all just still have a job. Like, why are you just still in Congress? Like, you old.
This is a buzzword you read on Facebook and are just like repeating without context.
And that's the problem. Part of the problem, at least in America in particular, like we just, a lot of words and things just get thrown around without care.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, the DEI thing has just got way out of hand. But I know that
we'll get into that a little bit later too.
For sure. And I know it's been used against this game to some degree because I did see those posts and the people who push that type of propaganda, if you will, of anti-DEI, and they saw some of these characters and the pronouns, which I will admit, I think it's kind of foolish to put real world stuff into something like this. It's set in a futuristic spacefaring setting. I don't think they'll be going by our standards of he, him, they, them, and all that. That's the only thing I would point out that I understand if people complain about that a bit. But this is my thing. I can see that and be like, okay, that's kind of stupid. But I'm never going to be like, how dare they put that in this game? I'm not going to play this. That's the difference.
I just can't imagine that coming up in the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like I'm going to care.
Like you're not going to shoot one of the characters and they're going to be like, actually, it's they, them. Like that's never going to.
I killed you, man. Did you just assume that I was a man?
Like that's never going to happen. And you're right to an extent where it's like so many of these characters. I don't really know the game too well. I haven't played it, but I've seen some of the characters, and it looks like a lot of them are like weird aliens and robots,
pretty
and
much
stuff. And it's like, how can you be mad that they're like that they use different pronouns or that they're I don't know a different sexuality? I'm sure that there's at least one that's gay.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But how could you possibly be upset about that? When A, all of these characters are so generic that you will not remember a single one of them, and B, like just that's a fish. Why do you care what pronouns that fish uses?
Right. That's what I say. Like I understand the complaint, or where like for instance, I could pick or nitpick at something, as they would say, right? Like I don't like that they did this thing and whatever, but I'm not going to be like, this is a determining factor for me never to play this filth. Or like some people have taken to the super extreme over just pronouns. Like literally, I've had people, oh, I hate when they do this. And it's like, okay, I get it. But am I going to let that stop me from enjoying a game because they got a pronoun in it? It's just so unnecessary. That's where the conversation has gone too far. I don't want to say left because it'll be the opposite in this case. It's going too far right. Yeah. But it's just ridiculous, man. It's really stupid. And it has hurt discourse in, like you said, in the world and gaming for sure. But I think
idiots online who think that we care about their opinions, and we don't. We really don't. Or I don't. I hope that none of you do either. Because why would you?
Yeah, you shouldn't. But the problem is, I think, is that it's getting a lot of headway from other people who do have pull and power. Yeah. That's the problem.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, but that aside, even beyond the whole anti-DEI crowd, I think that them charging $40 was really what hurt it. $40 for and the competition it has to face, because we talk about like Halo, for instance, and it was like, well, Halo has, his numbers are dwindling and all of that, and because they're doing a lot right. I'm really dry-throated, if that's a word.
Oh no!
For some odd reason. Pause.
I'll amp for a second if you want to get a drink.
I gotta get something.
I don't. Yeah. The thing about it for me is like, I don't necessarily think that this game like isn't worth $40. Like I think that there's a lot of like big work that went into this. Clearly, there's a lot of people working on like these cutscenes, and apparently the game plays well enough and is genuinely fun to play, at least for a little while. So like I don't. It's not that I don't think it's worth $40.
Right.
It's that if all of your competitors are free and you're not significantly better than them, you can't come in at a higher price point, or you're going to get eaten alive.
Agreed.
You're going to get eaten alive every time. You're not going to touch them.
Yep. I agree. It's the competition, and that's what I was mentioning about Halo, because they're doing so much right with Halo Infinite multiplayer. It's almost criminal that its numbers have dropped the way they have, because it's actually genuinely one of the best multiplayer sides, I guess, of any Halo game in the franchise, in my honest opinion. And I've played them all, so I just feel like it's getting the short, as Kay would say, what Asante would say, it's getting short shrift, as he would say.
Yeah.
It really is, but there's so much competition. You can't drop the ball and then think you're still going to be the top of the food chain. It's just not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
You know, so in this
even if your game is better, like that barrier of entry is going to prevent people from ever finding out about that.
Exactly, man. I mean, it's oversaturated with so many other shooters. It's tough to grab that, gain leeway. In headwind, I suppose, or headway, or whatever, which way you want to word it. It's hard to gain anything from that with so much competition and games that have already taken so many people, attention. So yeah, it's got an uphill climb. And again, limiting it to just PlayStation and PC, I think, is a poor choice. I think if you're going to go live service, just put it everywhere. Like when we were talking about Sea of Thieves going over to PlayStation, none of us cared, because that makes perfect sense.
Yeah,
it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
This has been out for like 6 years or something.
Yeah,
and it's, it needs to find a continued audience. So
exactly. So, but enough of that failed game. I'm joking. What else did we have?
Well, actually, on a really similar note, we actually saw this week Ubisoft respond to some of the, I guess, they worded it as historical and accurate. It's a complicated situation. I'll unpack it for you. It's really weird. So basically, they put out this long ass statement on Twitter and their socials about like, oh, we're not necessarily the most historically accurate thing in the world. We never have been. Like, and that's true, obviously. Like, you fight the Pope in one of them, or you know what I mean? Like they've never been the most historically accurate games in the world. But they were really, really vague about what they were actually apologizing for. Like, I had no idea like what the thing that they were. So the assumption, and everyone's assumption, it seemed like, was that they were apologizing for the Yasuke thing, because I guess people were still mad that Yasuke's black and like whatever. Yeah. But as it turns out, they were apparently actually apologizing because they used an incorrect flag. So they used a.
Oh, so they weren't apologizing for.
They weren't apologizing for Yasuke. But
okay.
I'll get into it because they might have been a little bit. There's in some of the like concept art that they put out with the pre-order stuff. Apparently, there's a flag being used that isn't a real flag. It's a fake flag made by a historical reenactment group over in Japan called the Sekigahara Teppo Tai.
I see.
And they used it without permission because they assumed it was just like an old flag that was like, effectively
public
domain, because they're like, that's just Nobunaga's flag or whatever.
Right.
Like, you don't have to pay America to show the American flag in your movie, right?
True.
So they assumed it was that sort of situation. But it turns out, no, it's this like proprietary thing owned by this company. So that is apparently the basis for what this apology was. But here's the thing. The text of their apology was so vague and never addresses what the actual problem is, that it makes it look like they're apologizing for the Yasuke thing. And then in a separate post that they put out shortly later, they were like, yeah, so there's like some debate of whether or not this guy actually was a samurai, or if he was just hanging out with the samurais, like he was of high esteem, but was he actually granted the title of samurai? And like, does anyone care? We don't care. Who cares? Right. And so these two things together have become this thing of like, did they intentionally leave this first apology and it was like 4 pages long, intentionally vague, so as to appease the dickheads who don't like that Yasuke is in the game? Right. Because that is what it appears to be. Whether true or not, that's what it appears to be.
Maybe.
And so
playing a little 4D chess on the people, huh?
Yeah. And so my assumption, and I have no way of proving this, is that they did that exactly. Is that they made it vague so that those people could assume that they were being apologized to and they could feel happy.
Right.
But it wasn't specific enough so they would piss off the people who would be mad if they apologized for it. And so I think what they ended up doing at the end of the day is actually pleasing nobody. and the thing about it is like when you make this precedent of like, because first of all, if this was just like, oh, we used the wrong flag, if that was the only thing that they were apologizing for, you wouldn't need a 4-page post. You would just be like, oh, okay, and you would take it out of the game or like pay the group to use it or whatever, right? Like the Insomniac did the same thing with the Cuba flag, and they were just like, oh oops, and like swapped it, right?
Oops.
So like this wouldn't, if it was just that, this would not be that big of a deal. And Ubisoft historically has never been a company that like makes these grand statements about like, oh, we messed a thing up. Like they've never really done that.
Yeah.
So I have to believe that this is about more than that, because that's genuinely what it feels like. And so so I feel like they are sort of apologizing for the Yasuke thing just so that they can like garner more potential purchasers of this game, even though like we've seen over and over again that boycotts based on like, you know, anti-woke, anti-DEI, whatever shit has never worked, never once have worked,
right?
And so I don't know why they would bother, but like I'm so upset about, like, this really angers me, and not necessarily because of the apology, but because of like the whole situation around it, where like, because the people are coming at Ubisoft and they're like, this is historically inaccurate, and it's not, but like they're saying that, right? But at the same time, they would be saying the exact same thing if it wasn't Yasuke, it was just like some other black guy that you were playing as, right? They don't care that it's Yasuke, they care that it's a black guy.
Pretty much.
Right?
Yep.
Right? They don't care that it's historically inaccurate as long as it's historically inaccurate in a way that benefits them. Like if it wasn't Yasuke, and it was like Chadsuke, they'd be fine. We would have no problems. We wouldn't be having this conversation. The game would just come out and you'd be like,
this is
playing
the thing.
some white ass samurai, and no one would care.
And that's the thing that bothers me.
But they wouldn't care.
That's true, and that's the thing that bothers me so much, man. It's like, listen, I think people have this kind of I don't know, like, how do they explain this? They have this kind of narcissistic view of the world where only they matter, and only the people that look like them matter. And that's something I think that's holding the human race back so much. And it's why we still have these issues. Twitter itself has become a cesspool more than it even used to be. It's since Elon has taken over. And
absolutely.
Every other post I see is an N-word. And I'm not talking about with the A at the end. So, you know, and they don't get, and we just found out about the, you know, the API that showed that people were allowed to say it, and some people are whitelisted where they don't get punished for saying it, and they quickly close those accounts. But like, I say all that to say that at a time where there's a lot of toxicity, you see that people genuinely harbor a lot of different hate inside their heart, where they don't want to see these other groups shine in it, or they can't put themselves and see themselves playing as those characters. Me growing up, and I'm sure most of all of us can agree, white has been the de facto standard of the hero or villain in general. It's always been somebody white. And I'm not saying, oh, I don't want that, get whitey out of here or anything like that.
No, but like,
allow us to play other games. Yeah.
Feudal ass Japan.
Right.
Then like, use a Japanese guy. Or if you want to focus it on the specific real historical figure, sure, who cares? Do that, whatever.
Right.
Like, to be honest with you, I probably am not going to play a ton as Yasuke anyway, because his playstyle is not very Assassin's Creed to me. Like, I want to play as the stealthy ninja girl, and so that's probably what I'm going to do. But the fact that people are like so upset that this character is even in the game is like,
it's bizarre and it's unnecessary.
Dude, go outside.
It's so unnecessary too, because then they try to, what if the Japanese, and then we find out that it's actually,
they don't care.
Yeah, it's actually white men pretending to be Japanese. It's like, are you all serious? You can't be this hurt by this, that you would go and purposely pretend to be a whole other group, ethnic group, to lie.
Yeah, I mean, I believe that.
Pretend to be a
like sight unseen. I 100% believe that like some JD Vance looking motherfucker would go on Twitter.
This offends my family and my honor, and he's out in Kentucky somewhere in the basement. But it's weird and bizarre, man. I don't know why people get so hung up on stupid things like that. It's so unnecessary, and I don't understand why, like. Because the Japanese, like we said, they don't care, and they embrace it. We see Yasuke in other forms of media, other games, even from Japanese and from Japanese creators themselves, by the way. Because I saw some people's argument was like, well, this is Ubisoft, French company doing it. So what does that matter?
Yeah. But like, they're also a worldwide company. Like they have like an Osaka office. I think they have like multiple in Japan. But like, I don't know. shit, did we have that argument when it was like, oh, they're making one in Egypt? Like, oh, but they don't have Ubisoft Cairo. Guess we
Right.
can't make that. Like, what are we talking about?
Right. What are we doing here? It's so stupid.
And I don't even remember. Were people this upset when we did Origins and it was a black guy, or were we okay then because it was a black guy in Africa and they're like, that's the one place they're allowed to be? Like, what was the argument there, right? And because I don't even remember it with like, I don't remember it with Adewale with the like Freedom Reign or whatever, and I don't know if that was just because they're like,
he was
we're
a former slave,
black flags, or like because they're like,
he was a former slave, so like that makes sense.
Like,
see,
I think this was honestly, to go back to the Nichelle Nichols Star Trek story.
Yeah,
this is exactly one of those things that Martin Luther King told her in that conversation at the NAACP whatever thing. Is he was like, you're on this show, but you're not in a black role. Like, you're not playing a caretaker or a slave or
some
something.
type of stereotypical role.
You are the communications officer on the Starfleet Enterprise, on the Starship Enterprise. Like, you are in a position of power. And I think that these people who are upset about this still have that dumbass like 60s mentality of like, well, he can't be a samurai, he's black. And it's like,
yep,
Tom Cruise was a samurai. Like, what do you?
And nobody really complained. Some people complained, but it wasn't.
Sure, but
nobody really made a fuss about it. It was nowhere near to the level of what we're seeing now. And even me, I was like, okay, hey, it is what it is. He's the last samurai, okay, right? But it's so ridiculous, man. And it's this weird thought that, like you said, like we don't belong. We can't put ourselves into that culture. And I'm not about robbing anybody's culture, because you start seeing the whole, oh, what about having Ryan Gosling play Black Panther? And it's like, okay, you all just being purposely ridiculous. And
he would play White Panther, who unfortunately is a real character.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, Bucky kind of took on that role.
Unfortunately. Yeah. Oh, yeah, he has got a name to it. It's like Grey Wolf or something.
He was White Wolf or something like that. Yeah. But that is so silly and it's so unnecessary. And Yasuke is a real figure in history. Like, who cares? They're like, but the historically inaccurate. You didn't. Okay, we had a freaking Pope. The Pope.
He was shooting laser beams.
Laser beams with a freaking
with an apple,
space apple. Like, what are we talking about? That now you have to have.
What is the argument here?
It's so stupid, man. It's so dumb.
Like Valhalla, you go and meet the spoilers, I guess. You go and like meet the gods.
You see what I mean?
Running around with superpowers. In Odyssey, there's like a DLC that involves Atlantis. Like shut up. Like we have left historical accuracy 7 games ago.
Yeah,
and this is the least. Even if he wasn't a samurai, this is the least aggressive, detour from accuracy we've ever had.
Exactly. He had Leonardo da Vinci making assassination tools and stuff for us. Like, what are we talking about? It's so stupid.
I actually hope that one was real. That'd be really cool.
That would be pretty cool, actually. I agree. But it's so stupid, man. It's so unnecessary. And you know what it is? It's dishonest. Yeah. Because that's not what they're really complaining about. It's not that.
Because we already saw this with what was the Abubakar game?
Oh, with Tales of Kanzara, yeah.
Yeah, where they're like, oh, this is a DEI game. And it's like, it's a Nigerian man making a Nigerian game about Nigerian people in Nigeria. What the hell are you talking about?
You can't.
To the point where
it's the most anti-DEI of anything, and it's still DEI.
To the exact point where I'm like, even if we replaced Yasuke with a Japanese man and his name was like Yojimbo or something like on the nose ass, like Japanese, like the Japanese equivalent of Chad for a white guy.
Right.
Like, they'd still probably be like, wow,
a
white guy. Like, what are we talking? Like, it's because it's in Japan, you dickhead.
It's so stupid, man. It's so dumb.
The whole conversation around this has been the stupidest shit.
It really has.
When in reality, here's the other thing: is this game's gonna come out and it's gonna be just like fine. Realistically, it's gonna be like an 8 out of 10. It'll be fine.
Yeah,
and then we'll never talk about it again.
And I told somebody this, and they were like, "Oh, they made some fuss." Well, such and such. I'm like this game is coming out. None of these complaints and tears that you're shedding is stopping anything. Why are you so focused on this that you're like being nasty toward people online? Why are you that invested? What do you think you're doing here? You think you're on the right side of history here? You're not. You're just making yourself look like a clown. It's so bizarre.
It's so stupid.
And like Abdel said, in Neo 1, that's one of the more famous points of contradiction for them. Nobody complained about the Englishman being in that game for Neo? Nobody. It was like, oh, that's cool. Okay. Nobody. And when I say nobody, I'm hyperbolic. Of course, I'm sure somebody was like, what? It's a white man here. But nobody in general in masses cared about that. We just played the game and was like, okay, all right, samurai, cool. Cut somebody. All right, demon over there to kill. Like this whole thought that you got to have this hyperfixation on accuracy when it comes to that is dumb. And I get it for some situations, sure. I'm not saying, like, if they'd have made some black people just be up in Japan, I would understand that complaint. But Yasuke is unique in that he was there.
He was there. He's a real person.
And his story is so vague. Why can't they expand on that and say, oh, this was what really was happening? I think that's intriguing. But instead, they turned it into something negative.
Maybe it's just because it's such a high-profile game. So, like, maybe that's the difference here. But, like, they added him into Samurai Warriors 5, and I don't remember anyone having any problem.
None.
And he was the right-hand man to Nobunaga in that.
Right. And
he's a really cool, like, fun, playable character.
And he looked badass, by the way. One of the coolest looking designs I've actually seen.
He's pretty cool. Yeah, they did a lot of like weird redos for costumes in that game that I wasn't thrilled of. But he looked good.
Yeah.
He looked good.
And they kept like the traditional African style with his armor. And all that. I liked it. It looked pretty good.
Realistically, he probably didn't keep.
Right.
Like,
he more than likely did.
So I got to look up a picture of him because I don't remember exactly what it was. But he was cool as hell.
He did look cool. He had the locks, but it's the side fade on the hair. And it was like the locks was tied into a little O in the back. He had like purple and gold. It looked really good. And purple, of course, is a regal color. So it made him look royal. It's really dope. Good. Yeah.
He's like one of the only, spoilers for a game no one cares about. He's like one of the only people who makes it out of that game in one piece.
Yeah. And that's the thing, because his story is so vague, they don't know really what happened with him in large portions of his life. So this is why it's like, why is it such a thing that they're even saying this and expanding on his legend? Like, why would that bother you? For the life of me, I mean, we know why, but it's like, how can you get to this point that you're this depraved and hurt over? Yeah, I don't get it, man.
It's incredibly stupid, and it has never been based in anything other than just blatant racism. So I won't even like hazard the conversation with those people, because it's never been based on anything worth talking about.
Yeah, it's not based on any meritorious. What is it? Meritorious. How do you say this word properly? Meritus. Emeritus.
Sure. Yeah, it's just like, there's only one version of this conversation that I would have humored, and that would have been if Japanese people were upset that it wasn't a Japanese man. I would have humored that. I don't think I would agree with it, but I'd be like, okay, I understand, but that's not even what we're talking about.
I agree.
Like, that's never been the conversation.
That would have been the only time I'm like, okay, that's from their perspective. I get that, respect that. I still would, like you said, disagree.
I probably wouldn't agree, but I'd be like, fine.
Yeah,
sure,
but like,
I get it.
Again, if they would have just inserted somebody black that wasn't never there, and it's like it's a whole Japan, I can understand that, but he was there. So like, why is it a problem now?
Yeah.
But
it's
And speaking of Abubakar, Abdul mentioned that he saw him in the House of Dragon 2. I saw him in the House of the Dragon 2 as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna mess up their names. It's either Adam or Alan. It's one of those guys.
I forgot his name on there too, but I know I
forget
he's
which one's
son.
No, because both there is an Adam and there's an Alan, and I don't remember which one's which.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, did you see this past Sunday's episode?
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
I'm pretty sure I'm caught up. Oh, this season's going some places. It was a slow start, but I think that specifically next episode, I think some crazy stuff's going to happen.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's do a spoiler cast once the season's over.
We definitely do. Definitely
it's
do.
Really good. So
if you guys aren't watching it, check out the House of the Dragon. We would love to do a spoiler cast, like Danny pointed out, and we could all chop it up. All of us can talk about that and share our thoughts on it. I will say it again. I think we both agree that Damon parts, or Damon, should I say? Damon parts have been, they kind of drag.
There's a lot. They're getting better though.
Yeah,
I think the ones in this most recent episode were good.
Yeah, the most recent was better, I would say, but it has kind of like, I wish they wouldn't have dragged so much. I do remember you telling me that the books apparently were worse in this regard.
The books are very poorly written, in my opinion.
Yeah, so kudos to them for turning it into something positive, I suppose, or better. But I'll be glad for them to get done with that particular I guess storyline or whatever, and move to something else, be they fail or die or whatever.
Agreed.
Okay, there you go. What's up, K brother? He says the link is in the DMs. Okay, I got it. I got the link. So as I was mentioning to you guys earlier, I've done my first official review of the game you see on the screen now, which is Flintlock, The Siege of Dawn. And I'm going to share that. Let me get that now. Actually, I'll share it in the chat. Thank you, K, brother. And I'll make sure to share this on the Twitter later after the show so people can come by and check it out. Guys, if you could do me a favor, hit this link right here. Kay, can they subscribe to the blog or anything, or I don't know if there's some type of subscription or if they can sign up to the site or anything like that. But if you can, guys, see if you can do that and join the GCP Gaming Circle blog. You can leave feedback, he says. So, yeah, take part in that if you guys could. We got to support each other in this community. Yeah, so that's the link right there to the review. When you guys get a second, please check it out. Yeah, give me your thoughts on it and feedback. I'm no reviewer, no professional reviewer, so this is my first time doing something like this. So I know it's some mistakes I've made and things like that, and I know I could be better, and I want to improve on it. So, but yeah,
just practice,
practice makes perfect. It never does make perfect, but it's more perfect. But yeah, man, what else did we have though? Moving aside from this tired DEI Assassin's Creed nonsense that they keep bringing up.
Disgusting.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you want to pull the trailer up for this, but Fallout London is out now.
You know what? I do want to pull that up, actually. Go ahead and speak on it. Let me pull it
so
up
Fallout London is this long labored mod that's been being worked on for, God, what, 5-6 years? Like a long ass time.
It's been a while, yeah.
And it is finally out. I think today, maybe yesterday. I just saw it today. You can go and download it on, I think, Good Old Games on GOG.
Mm-hmm.
It is a mod for Fallout 4. So in order to play it, you have to have Fallout 4. And you also have to download a second mod to effectively downgrade your version of it, because it's built off a previous patched version. So you have to download a mod to basically depatch it, and then download London. But once you do, it's like apparent. I haven't done it yet. I'm definitely going to at some point in the near future. But it is. Abdel's saying you also need all the DLC, which I would assume is true.
You do, yeah. I read that much too.
So, but once you have all of that, you can play it, and it looks like it is a whole ass game. Like it is. They put out a full proper trailer. It's got seemingly full voice acting. I remember that we saw a report. I don't know if we covered it on the show. We saw in a report that the guy who played Astarion in Baldur's Gate is in it at some point. I think maybe he's a companion in that too, which is really exciting for a lot of people. I hated Astarion, so it's kind of a bummer for me. But
right.
I didn't dislike the voice acting. I just disliked the characters, so maybe he'll play a more interesting character.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of work that went into this mod, and a lot of the people who worked on this mod now work at BGS. So I haven't touched it, so I can't tell you whether or not it's good, but I will say I am intending on playing this in the near future, and I think if you are a Fallout fan, this is probably the next best thing for you.
Definitely, 100%. This, if anything is telling me this is a sign that get a new PC for podcasting. This is right here, because temporarily OBS had froze for me because I'm trying to do this and put this video up, and it's like, nope. Okay, I got it now. All right, let me switch scenes. And here we go. I guess I can play the music probably, right?
Yes.
I don't know. I probably shouldn't do it. I don't know.
I don't know.
Let me not, just in case. Yeah, I don't want them to you violated this or something.
Yeah, that's probably the smart idea.
Yeah. Vera Lynn's We'll Meet Again. We'll meet again.
Yeah, just assume that's playing.
Yeah.
While also in the background, a man with a very thick accent is saying things that I genuinely could not understand about half of.
Man, I had to listen to really hard. I'm like, this dude has the thickest English accents right here. Like this dude must have really come back from 1800 something back in the day. This looks really good. Dude look like Trevor off Grand Theft Auto right there.
Yeah.
No, this looks really
I'm really
good,
excited
man.
about this. Yeah,
I'm
so glad
impressed.
this came out. We've seen a couple of other like full game mods over the years for Fallout games. There's famously like the Miami one that was really cool.
Yeah.
This is, I might be wrong. I'm not that involved in the mod scene, but I think this is the first time that one of them have gone outside of the United States.
Mm-hmm. I believe so. I think you're right.
And I'm really, obviously this isn't canon. It's not officially, endorsed. None of this, at least in theory, will show up in future Fallout games. So this is a fan-made thing. It's very, very much separate.
Yeah. I believe
that being
Todd,
said,
I believe Todd even
so
spoke
cool.
on it. It does look good. I think Todd even spoke on it before, and he said that he wanted to stick to America with his. I think he mentioned.
He did, yeah.
Yeah, so that's unfortunate.
He said that was part of like the identity of Fallout, which I don't disagree with.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that they have done nothing. They could have done a Nintendo and gone out of their way to shut this down.
They could have,
and I'm glad they didn't.
Yeah.
So they're at least allowing other people to do things that they don't want to do themselves, and I think that's
pretty dope. That's
the next best thing to not doing it yourself.
True.
So,
it fosters the community. That's why they have such. That's why something
Absolutely.
like this can exist, because they fostered the community to create and allowed them to have that freedom. Really dope. I even love the logo work they did for it. It looks really nice.
Oh, you can tell so much work and honestly money went into the making of this.
Yeah.
And I don't know if legally they're allowed to sell it. So
that's what I was wondering.
I don't know how they're going to recoup that. I hope they do. I guess this is probably the best resume they could possibly make for working at BGS, and a lot of them have already been hired over there. So maybe that's how they recoup the cost for it, is they get a really good job.
That's a good point. That's something too I was wondering, because I'm like, somebody shared it and they were like, hey, get it on GOG while it's free, etc. And I'm like, free while it's free? I'm like,
yeah,
isn't it always going to be free?
I would think so. Yeah. I guess I don't really know, but my assumption is they wouldn't be allowed to charge anything for it because it's not theirs. Like it's not their IP.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah. I don't.
The only way they'd be able to charge for it, I believe, would be if they gave a cut to Bethesda, at which point Bethesda would have to like officially endorse it.
Yeah. Oh, thanks, Kay. He said, great write-up. Well done, sir. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. I'm going to check it out as soon as I get off. I'm going to really learn and get into how to do that stuff properly when it comes to reviews. Time consuming if you want to do a proper job, of course. And kudos to those who really do this as far as writing and stuff like that goes, because to me it's not easy, but it's like me drawing, and people are like, how can you do that? It's nothing to me because it's like second nature. I imagine it's the same for you, Danny. For instance, when you write, it's just second nature to you because it's what you do. It's your thing.
I don't know if I'd say second nature, but I don't know. I enjoy it.
Yeah. AJH, what's up, brother? I know it's got to be late for you. I know it's probably like, 2 or 3 in the morning. He said it's bigger than Fallout 4 and the Shore add-on. I think that's the DLC. Yeah.
Far Shore, yeah.
I know a lot of people are going to be excited to play it.
Far Harbor.
The bad part for me is that I got so many other games to play right now, and I still want to get through the other Fallouts before I move to something like this. So I'm stuck in that terrible position. It's like the Assassin's Creed
great games to play.
Yeah, I got too many great games. It's like Assassin's Creed. I'm one of those weirdos that like to play games in the way they were released. So I can't jump to, to playing as Yasuke and I forgot her name. Naoe.
Oh, well, you better get cooking. If
I know, right?
That anywhere near on time.
Man, I was on last one. I was on Unity, so I'm way behind.
Oh yeah. That's how many? Oh God,
that's at least 6 or 7 games after that.
Unity Syndicate.
Yeah.
Oh crap.
That's Odyssey, Origins,
Odyssey,
Valhalla,
Mirage.
Yeah, Mirage. I forgot about. I'll probably look past Mirage because it's not. Yeah, well, maybe. That's a lot. I got at least 6 or 7 games.
That's going to be the shortest one, honestly.
I know, right? That's funny. But yeah. Oh yeah, it's 2 a.m. for you. Okay, I see. Oh, I haven't tried Marvel Rivals just yet. AJH, you say it's fun, huh? I've got people I know who are playing it right now, and they're loving it too. And I saw a new thumbnail or image from Thor, who's going to be added to it. It looks badass. As matter of fact, while you move to the next topic, Danny, I'll see if I can find it and post that right quick. AJH.
So we're on some smaller topics now. There wasn't really a lot to talk about this week, unfortunately. But one of them that I want to talk about is Monopoly Go is apparently a huge hit. It's a mobile version of Monopoly, and it has just crossed $3 billion in revenue made.
Ridiculous.
Despite the fact that it just launched in April of 2023. So like a year and a third, I guess, or a year and a half or fourth.
Wow.
Since launch, it's made $3 billion, which is absolutely insane. You never think about these sorts of like Monopoly as being like huge IP that makes a ton of money, but who would be wrong?
That is insane, man.
There's a lot of people downloading this on their iPads or whatever.
It goes to show you the strength of these mobile games. Like we talk about all this stuff with consoles, and mobile was just like casually up, showing up everything else. And like, that's great. Who would have thought that made that much?
Yeah. Well, it's because it hits all of these, like, everyone's got a smartphone, everyone's got a tablet or something, right? So everyone has access to it, and then they see an ad for it when they're scrolling social media or whatever. Monopoly's a really easy thing to be like, hey, grandma, do you want to play Monopoly with me on your oversized tablet that's zoomed in so the font is like times 600 or something?
Why, sure, Shani. Let's play.
Yeah.
You stepped on boardwalk.
Sort of thing. But like, it's a game that everybody knows. It's easy to get into. So I think those sorts of IP, I think, do really well in this sort of setting. I mean, we saw it with Pokemon Go even, where it's just like thing I recognize is on device I already have, money.
Pretty much. Yeah. Okay, I found it. I found the image finally. Let me visit this and highlight this. Okay, finally found it. Yeah, that's Thor for Marvel Rivals. He looks pretty bad. It looks like Rune King Thor almost. I'm almost certain it is Rune King Thor. He looks older. He has the metal arms. Yeah, hold a metal.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I have not really cared for the art style of this game.
Yeah, I like it, man. I think it's pretty solid.
It's fine. It's fine.
It's fine.
I'm not mad about it. Yeah. But I'm just like, there's no part of it where I'm like, gotta play that.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I get it. These types of games are not my style. AJH, just as a heads up. Like, I don't care for hero type shooter games and stuff like this, and this is in the vein of that. I love Marvel. It's my favorite comic home, if you will, favorite comic publisher, but it's not Spider-Man being my favorite comic character of all time, Batman being second. But I just can't get into these types of, running around just, let's just fight all day, and like I want story or something. Yeah. So
it just doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah. Kay said AC Assassin's Creed is like Final Fantasy, and that they're all self-contained with the exception of the S.T.A.L.K.E.R trilogy. You should be able to jump into any AC
They
game.
are, yeah.
I get it.
You can definitely jump straight to Shadows if you want. They're not really sequels.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, Soil Tech said he had to delete Monopoly. He said it's really addictive.
Oh.
I bet.
Gotta get it away from grandma.
Yeah. It's AJ, as you say, Jeff the Land Shark. Who the heck is that?
What the hell? Yeah, what the hell is Jeff the Land Shark? What are we talking about?
He said Thor is in it and Jeff the Land Shark.
Jeff the Land Shark.
I don't ever heard of that character. Let me look that up.
It's weird that they jumped straight to Jeff the Land Shark. And
yeah, right.
Not any of the other characters who are probably not in it.
Oh, I see it now. I'm looking at it. What is this character? Jeff the Land Shark is a character. Let's see. Appearing in American comic books published by Marvel Comics, created by writer Kelly Thompson and artist Danielle D. Nicolo. The character first appeared in West Coast Avengers Volume 3 in 2018, but was not named and formally introduced until issue 7 in January 2019. Jeff was originally the pet land shark, legged shark of the superhero Gwenpool. Oh, it was Gwenpool's pet. Okay. But has since had other caretakers such as Deadpool, Elsa Bloodstone, and Kate Bishop. All right. This shark could only exist coming from something like Deadpool. That makes sense somehow. It's literally a little shark pet.
It's like a dog, but it's a shark. I don't know. I'm looking at it, and I don't
Yeah.
I don't know how that can be a playable character, but I'm down to let other people figure that out and then not tell me.
He's going to be a healer, apparently. AJH says, "Okay,
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
of course. I mean, what else would he be? I guess.
You're right. Right, he's a healer while being a predator that murders people in the water and eats them. That's weird.
I don't know. He looks like he's like the size of a dachshund. I don't think he's taking anybody down.
Yeah, yeah. He's a comic dachshund, though. They're stronger than normal. But yeah.
True.
What else do we have, man? Is that about it for that, or we got?
I mean, we're getting pretty close. So, Blade has been confirmed to be rated R. Comic-Con started, I think, today, and it's running through the weekend. So we should get some more news that hopefully we'll be able to cover next week.
Man,
although I don't know how much. But Kevin Feige has confirmed in an interview that Blade is going to be rated R. And I'm going to be honest with you. A, I think that's the right choice, and B, I don't think I care at this point. There has been so much like kerfuffle around this movie that I just cannot imagine that it's going to come out good at this point.
That's my thing. Like, they're like, "Oh, Blade rated R." It's like, are we ever going to actually see this movie? I mean, you can say it's rated R, but when will it actually release? And having this many false starts and retries and rewrites and people leaving, it does not spell positivity for this.
No,
game,
it's
this
really
movie,
disheartening.
Yeah, I'm not too certain on this one, man. And you got such a quality actor in Mahershala Ali. It's like, why are you wasting this? It's so stupid to me. But I think that's kind of goes hand in hand with the latest kind of mismanagement I think a lot of these Marvel titles have had lately, where they've let things slip away since Endgame. In some ways, we still had a few standouts. Spider-Man
There were some good ones in there,
was still really good, but like it seems like quality dip and just management over these franchises seems to have taken a back seat a bit. So I hope they get that together. Don't release a terrible Blade movie, please. I'm glad it's rated R at least. I'll give them that.
That's the other thing is like at this point, I don't even know if they can release like a mediocre Blade movie, because I think the heat is really on Marvel right now, where it's like it's been a minute since we've had consistent good product coming out of them, and I don't know. Looking at the reviews for Deadpool Wolverine are pretty mixed. Kay's in the chat saying it's really, really good, so I think that's a good sign. But the reviews in general have been pretty heavily mixed on it. I think the trailer for Captain America Brave New World looks like fine, but it's not really particularly inspiring to me. And then we're hearing all this news about Blade, and I'm like, I don't even know what else is coming up that there is to be excited about, really.
No, I get it.
And so I'm not concerned about it, but I'm just like, I don't know, dude. I don't know how much I'm going to continue to invest in this universe.
That's what I'm saying, man. I hope they get it back, because
no. Wait, Case correcting. He's saying he doesn't say it's really good. He just says we need to see it. So maybe it's not that good. Maybe it's just good.
So yeah, he said he watched the movie Deadpool and Wolverine, but he says we just need to see it, huh? So that tells me then that the stinger at the end must be something really special. Is that about right, Kay?
I guess that could make sense. I'll just watch it on YouTube if that's the case, though. I don't need to go spend $15 on a ticket.
I want to see it just because I got nothing but love for both Ryan and Hugh. So I'm gonna definitely go check it out. And I haven't been to the movies in a while, man. So this would be perfect to go see something again. But
I'll go watch Twisters.
Oh yeah, I could do that too.
Do a double feature.
Check out the homie pal. Yeah. What's up, Glenn? But yeah, he says what it says. It really informs the MCU as a whole. It's worth seeing. Okay. I'm thinking that. Listen, if I had to speculate, I would imagine they're going to finally try to introduce the mutants. You got Wolverine in there. Why not, right? So maybe that
makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm confused what that means though, because like I think Deadpool and I think this movie is in like a different universe. Like it's still canon, and I guess maybe it crosses over at the end. That would be my guess.
And that's a good point. Maybe this will be him actually at the end of this. By the end of this, him actually coming into the MCU world. I guess universe. I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a solid chance I end up seeing it this weekend. So.
Yeah, definitely. If we can both end up seeing it, we can definitely talk about it next week in some detail without, I guess, a spoiler-free discussion, if you will.
Right.
Yeah. But hey guys, again, if you haven't done so yet, hit the like button, and here's a link again for my Flintlock review. Check it out, please, guys, if you could. And I'll post it later as well on my timeline and such, and try to get more people to check it out. And give me your feedback. I would like feedback on your thoughts on it and what you would like to improvements, whatever. Hit me up, DM me, whatever. Let me know what's up. But what else did we have, Danny?
S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2 has been delayed one more time. This time for 2 months. We had gotten what they claimed to be the final release date of September 5th. That didn't hold up. It's now November 20th. Still this year, but just a little further out.
Let me ask you.
It's really all there is to it. Now,
I'm all for these types, delay it and get things right? But I know that it's got to come at a cost, and eventually, like, okay, maybe people's patience get worn down, or maybe companies that's backing them are like, okay, how much time do you need? Have you had any thoughts like that when it comes to this? Like, okay. Like, no. Has your excitement gone down or anything?
It really hasn't. It's stayed pretty even. My excitement for this game isn't super high to start with. I think it looks good, but I'm not like, on pins and needles waiting for it or anything. So it being delayed 2 months is not the end of the world to me at all. I'll play it when it comes out, whenever that is. There's to be honest with you, hasn't been a ton of games this year that I was like really actively anticipating. And that's kind of still true going forward. Like, there's up until the end of the year, there's a couple of things, but there's not like a ton of games where I'm gonna be like in a bind trying to find time to play this game when it comes out, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not really worried about it.
No, I guess that makes sense. And for me, I have the stance of take the time you need to get the game right. Or at least as right as it can be. So I'm all for it. Take the time they need. Plus, we all of course understand their situation. It would be a bit distasteful for us to kind of write that off and be like, all right, whatever, get us our game when they're going through what they're going through. So it is what it is. Yeah, let's see. Abdel says if the game was buggy in September, it will still be buggy in October. 2 months extra polish won't change much. Yeah, possibly.
That may be true.
Possibly.
Yeah. I'm not expecting this game to launch perfect either, is the thing.
Mm-hmm. In case that exactly. That was just a devil's advocate question. That's for anybody hearing that. I'm not saying that I feel that way. I just wanted to see if there was any different thoughts on it. He says, under normal circumstances, I agree with you, Umbra, but in this case, it says these guys are in a real war zone, still in the real war zone. They can delay a game. Oh, yeah, 100%. Now, that's the views of that thought. That was just a hypothetical thought out there. That wasn't how I see it.
The views of Umbra do not represent the views of the face.
Right. All right. The views of Umbra do not reflect the face. Yeah. No, but no, that's not how I feel at all, Kay. I'm on the side of where Danny is at. Like, I get it. I'm not in any rush. Trust me, we got too many games for one. Two, I understand their real life situation.
Yeah, like I'm not like excited for it to be delayed, but I'm not beat up about it.
Right. Exactly. What else did we have?
Only thing I got left here is the Soul Reaver remasters.
Yes.
This is
what we would use kind of as a de facto main topic, since I used the thumbnail for it.
Yeah.
So yeah, you guys had not seen this. One of my favorite games from a bygone era. It was Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver. I had actually been talking about having a remake or a new entry into the series for years. And I mean, this remake and remaster that they're doing, rather, with Raziel and Kain, I'm all for it 100%. It is I think it's led creatively to a lot of different systems you see in games now that it doesn't get credit for, like switching between different, realities and such that you might see in a game like, what's the name of that game? Lords of the Fallen, for instance, where you switch to the Umbra world.
Sure.
Legacy of Kain did that back in the PS2 / Dreamcast era. Whereas, before anything else was happening in other games. So And besides that, it's just a cool story, well written, great character with Raziel, and actually is one of what's her name,
Hennig.
Amy Hennig's one of her games, and so
Yeah.
it's quality behind it. So anyhow, Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver remasters may have just leaked out at Comic-Con. Let me read a bit of this. It says 2 beloved Soul Reaver games from developer Crystal Dynamics may be getting the remastered treatment, according to what appears to be a leak at the San Diego Comic-Con. Branding for Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver 1 and 2 remastered. An unannounced project has been spotted at comics publisher Dark Horse's booth at SDCC 2024, strongly hinting at a revival of the long dormant franchise. If accurate, the project sounds like it will contain remastered versions of 1999 game Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver, released for the original PlayStation. Oh, it was part 1, okay, for the PlayStation 1, not 2. But okay, it did come to the PlayStation 2, I was right. And later ported to Dreamcast. That's what I played. I played on the Dreamcast. Windows PC, and the sequel. Okay, now it was a sequel for part 2, for PlayStation 2, I'm sorry. And the sequel, Soul Reaver 2, was released for PlayStation 2 and Windows PC in 2001. Okay, so when I played Soul Reaver, it was for the Dreamcast. So it was the ported version, okay. Both games star vampire turned wraith Raziel as the playable character in his quest to exact revenge on his master Kain, star of the first game in the franchise, Legacy of Kain. Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver, and Soul Reaver 2 were developed by Tomb Raider studio Crystal Dynamics, and both were directed by Amy Hennig, who later went on to work at Naughty Dog, Electronic Arts, and Skydance Interactive. So it says the seemingly unintended reveal of Legacy of Kain and Soul Reaver 1 and 2 remastered came courtesy of a display at Dark Horse's booth. So you see them battling it out right there. I wish I was into these types of things where I could collect statues and stuff, man. It's never really been my thing, but stuff like this would be something I would buy.
Every so often, there's really cool ones.
Yeah, man, it looks really cool. So as you guys can see, if you look at this image properly, I don't know if I can zoom in. There it is. So you can see if you look at this little placard right there in front of it, it reads Soul Reaver 1 and 2 remastered. Oh, you can see it closer now. There we go. So Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver, or it just says Soul Reaver there. Well, no, you can. Okay, Legacy of Kain is in that box above it. 1 and 2 remastered. So there's definitely going to appears to be a remaster for it coming out, which is really dope. You know, I was wondering, by the way, since they're like vampire wraiths, why do they have like 3 claw fingers and 2 toenail toes?
Aesthetic.
Yeah, that's what it is.
They did it because it was cool.
It looks cool. I'll give them that. It's interesting, by the way, to have us play as Kain in the first one, and then he's the enemy in the second with the Soul Reaver.
Yeah, they really beat Last of Us to that.
Yeah, 100%.
Chain of thought.
It also makes me kind of think about what's the name of that game? What is that? Oh, Castlevania.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Castlevania has.
You never actually finished a Castlevania game?
Never.
No, I've never played these Legacy of Kain games either. I've never even touched them.
This would be perfect. This is why this needs to happen. And if they're going to remaster it, I hope they go all out. I hope it's not a half-ass remaster. But
you'll have to let me know, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean, hey, if they remastered it, man, you can check it out.
Yeah, I'll jump in on that for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And Abdel said, "Hey, I'm with you." He says, even if it's 4 out of 10, I will still play and finish the game in solidarity with the studio. He's talking about Stalker 2. Yeah, I'm with you there, brother. And he says, only played Legacy of Kain Defiance. I remember that. I didn't care for Defiance that much, though. I still think that Soul Reaver 1 and 2 are much just better. It says the intro cinematic where Raziel got his wings cut and was thrown into the pit still on my mind. Absolutely. Classic scene. What's this? Amy Hennig and Dennis Dyack. I remember Dennis Dyack. Many don't remember him, the creator of Too Human. Yep, Eternal Darkness. It's most famous being Eternal Darkness, of course. Too Human, unfortunately, didn't pan out. But
I want to play Eternal Darkness. It's just short of emulation, there's really not a lot of good ways to play it. So I'll probably have to play it that way at some point.
Pretty much, yeah. I would actually love for Microsoft to still do something with Too Human if they can get a proper team on it and rework the story and setting up, not setting,
Wasn't
but
there
story
some
a bit.
kind of like weird situation with the like the IP
The
rights to
licensing.
that?
I'm not too sure. It might be, but last I remembered, Microsoft actually still owned the IP. But it could have. Maybe there's some issue. Maybe old Dennis was like, nope, I'm not making another game. Well, you never know. But yeah, man. We gotta have a stronger discussion, I guess, on games we would like remastered at some point. I want to bring you guys in the community into these types of things more. So maybe we can have a kind of I guess a co-stream where you guys can jump in for a specific show and we can ask you some thoughts and share thoughts and discussion.
What's one just like off the top of your head that you would want remastered?
Off the top of my head for a game?
Yeah.
Let me think. Well, Soul Reaver is number one, so
why are you getting it?
That's one. Let me think.
What's number two?
Right. Let me think. A game that would be good. A good remaster remake. I'll probably have to go to. Let me think. I probably have to go to.
I'll throw mine in there while you think about
it. Yeah, throw yours
if you
out.
want.
I'm trying to think of something really.
I would really like to see a proper, maybe full remake, honestly, of the Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance games, both of them, because we got the really bad Dark Alliance game that they put out last year or 2 years ago.
Yeah.
It wasn't Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance, it was Dungeons and Dragons Dark Alliance, and it had characters who were from the Drizzt books, and it was terrible. That game was absolutely horrendous, and I need those ones back as soon as possible in a good state. They are playable though on Xbox. You can buy digital versions of Dark Alliance 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And I would recommend it because they're fun old games.
Okay, that's a good one. I haven't played those, but that would be dope. I feel like something I would pick would be an action adventure game that I'm going so far back in my memory bank. I'm thinking of games that don't necessarily need a remaster, like Super Nintendo games and all that.
You're like, redo Pitfall.
Right. I want to see all those pixels, damn you. That's the little sound he makes when he swings.
Couldn't have told you that. I wouldn't have known.
I figured. But you know what, man? I feel like it'll be something from the PS2 era. You know what I would do, actually? Now that I'm just kind of thinking of it, I want to a full remake in Unreal Engine 5 of PlayStation 1 game Battle Arena Toshinden.
Is that a fighting game?
It is. Battle Arena Toshinden. It was a classic. I remember playing it before I ever got my PlayStation 1 inside of a Toys R Us. Oh, it's a classic. Look it up if you get a second. Matter of fact, I could pull it up right now, actually, while we're talking.
Do it, coward, but you won't. See, this is good now. I don't have to.
Right. It's a classic game, though, man. I haven't played it in so long. It's one of the first proper 3D type fighting games in the vein of Tekken and stuff like that.
Was this pre or post Tekken?
Pre, I think. I'm pretty sure. Battle
beating with a punch. But I mean, only one of them survived, so I guess Tekken was probably better.
Right. There can only be one. Let's see. Is there a trailer for it?
Mayhaps.
Let's see if I can get any trailer. I see some clips already, but I'll just play it.
I'm recognizing some of these characters, and there was one that you scrolled past a minute ago that the art, I assume, from the character select, and boy howdy is that rough. Boy, could that use some updating.
Yeah. Yeah. So let me fast forward a bit through this.
Boy. That's high tech. That's high tech font back in the day.
Oh yeah. Yeah, breathe it all in, folks. We went back on you. Back 1995.
You know what's funny? You see that video of the guy who's like, I have to put my son in one of my games. He's got like an N64 that's
Oh.
Like, fucking super hyped. Like, Gen Z son's ass.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that. X versus Round
Fight!
I still remember playing this in like a Toys R Us growing up. Yes, newfangled. These beautiful graphics. Now look how outdated this looks now, and how poor the animation is. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. So we don't have any maybe
No specific.
No problem!
graphic on the little statue there.
Round 2! Fight!
Yeah.
But I'm excited about it. Like,
No, for
I
sure.
love these kind of like popular older games being brought forward
Mhm.
so that they can continue to survive and be playable.
Yeah,
And
no,
it's good for
sure,
all the
man.
companies involved too, because like otherwise you just kind of have this thing that becomes vaporware that no one can buy anymore. Like even if you're selling it for $5 or whatever, you're still making money on that.
I
You may as
agree.
well.
I agree, and there's some. I mean, we're having kind of a resurgence because there's a few other games that are getting remakes and stuff.
They
like
just
that.
did a remake or remaster or something of the Grandia games that came out on Xbox, and I was like, I put that shit on my wish list. I was like, yeah, all right, I'm not right
Yeah.
now, but I'll get around to this.
That'd be I see there's stuff like that, man. I feel like these classic IP, there should be no reason to let them go to the wayside. Honestly,
No,
yeah,
absolutely
he
not.
got folded. Ouch! Did you see that? His body got folded the wrong direction.
I've been there.
Yes, take a shot, Palpatine. I mentioned Unreal Engine 5.
You're gonna get drunk real fast, bud.
Yeah.
This is not a good game to play.
Gray Monad said a remake of Brute Force. I absolutely hated Brute Force.
I don't really remember that. Like I recognize the name, but
it was I remember getting it because they had the demo for, I think, was it Halo 2 in it or something like that. And I was like, oh yeah, I gotta get this. And that game was so terrible. It couldn't, but it has room for potential. It has potential to grow into something. But it was not a well done game, in my opinion. It was just like one of the first kind of three-player squad based games, even before I believe we got Gears of War, actually. But I just didn't think they did a good job with it overall. But I would be for that, and definitely remake it in Unreal Engine 5. Ain't that right, Palpatine?
oh, take another shot.
Yeah. He says Conflict Desert Storm. All right. Yeah, Siphon Filter will be a good one to have. 1 and 2. Those are classics. Yeah, absolutely. Those would be classics to have back. I'm drawing a blank, but I know there's so many other games that I could think of that I'm just not pulling up in my memory bank right now that I'll be like, oh, this would be great for this too.
Yeah, it's the curse of podcasting. You'll remember it as soon as it turned off the stream, and then you'll be like, oh, I should have said XYZ.
Yeah, right.
That would have been the one.
Yeah.
That's
the
case.
I know we got like clearly like some PlayStation 2 era games that I can draw back to. It's just it's a lot. But like you said, it's kind of sad to see a lot of these IP kind of languishing.
You know what else I want?
What's that?
They should redo specifically SSX Tricky.
Oh.
Skip SSX. Don't bother with 3. Do Tricky.
That'd be
good.
Since
we've had like a proper like arcade snowboard game. I think that could do numbers right now. I think it would. I don't know if it would do Tony Hawk numbers, but it would do numbers.
It could. You know what? Now speaking of that, I know it's the team. It's another team that worked with EA. Was it EA or? Yeah, I think it was EA because they're doing that. They're the ones that made NBA Street, right? And so it's a team that broke off from that. They're trying to make a new basketball street series. I forgot the name of it right now.
Yeah, I think I saw something about this a while back.
Yeah. So that could be something good. But now that you mentioned that with SSX Tricky, I said it right. SSX Tricky, it makes me think of, and hey, AJ, I like that. Riddick Games Asante says legendary wings. Yeah,
I don't even know what the hell Legendary Wings is, K. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I see you, Gray, talking about the use Forza Tech. Forza Tech is better than Unreal Engine 5. How dare you?
How dare you?
But now that you mention that with EA, one of the games I've been clamoring for, and I don't think it's ever going to happen, but I would love a remaster or remake of, is Def Jam Fight for New York. And
ooh,
classic.
okay.
Classic games.
So would you have to like repay for the likeness of all the rappers, or would you do modern rappers?
They would I would go back to the classic rappers, and
you know,
yeah, because these new rappers they pale in comparison. But
you'd have like Drake and Kendrick
I know.
on it again, and you'd be like,
Can you imagine? But I would have them as, like, I guess the seasonal characters they could bring in as DLC.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Or they could just do the sequel and bring it more into modern times and stuff like that. You know? So yeah. Oh man.
Bring in Tupac, but it's the hologram version from that one concert.
And man, listen, I wouldn't pick anybody else but Tupac if they put him in the game.
I wouldn't blame you.
Asante said he would love it too, but it will never happen. Too many licenses. I can imagine the licensing. Must be
music,
terrible.
The rappers.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah.
It'd be tough.
It's got to be tough. I imagine for sure. But because it was rumors of them making a new game for it, but I don't know whether that's clearly never gone anywhere. So I don't know. Look at Foe here, looking like Vega's uncle. Got the little claws out. All right. But yeah, man, let's get out of here, man.
Get on out of here.
Yeah, let's get on out of here.
Let's
It's been a good discussion.
the old dusty trail.
The old dusty trail. Yeah, but thank you guys for coming
more
through.
Star Trek.
Yeah, right.
I want to get to the episode where his evil twin shows up with a goatee. I need to have context for that.
I need to understand those damn space little fuzzy ball things that will fall out.
Oh, the dribbles?
That's what they call them, dribbles? The dribbles?
Dribbles, yeah.
Dribbles, okay.
I haven't seen that episode yet, so I'm just speaking from being a nerd.
Okay.
I have no context myself.
Yeah, I don't know what about it. I just remember seeing clips and stuff like that with all these little small gerbil ball things, whatever.
Yeah.
But
they're just all of Shatner's extra toupees. They're like, what can we do with these?
Speaking of Shatner, isn't it funny that they molded Michael Myers' mask off of him? And that's what they're using.
He is very quickly transforming into a Michael Myers type himself. So it's, reality imitates art sometimes.
That's the way it goes. But yeah, man, thank you guys all for coming through. I again would like if you guys gave any feedback and check out that article. Hit a brother up in the DMs or whatever on Twitter and X, if you want to call it that, and let me know. But yeah, and stick with us, and we're going to probably talk about Deadpool and Wolverine next week if we both get a chance to see it this week. And yeah, we'll have a kind of a spoiler-free discussion about it, and if we can. But yeah, Danny, man, thanks for coming through and holding us down, doing your thing. Tell the good folks where they can find you and what you'll be up to.
You can find me on Twitter at Daniel J. McG or at my personal YouTube channel, Daniel McG, where hopefully I will upload something in the near future. Last week I put up recently I put up a video about the Assassin's Creed remakes and stuff that we talked about last week. And I should have more content coming out there soon. So I hope to see some of you over there in the near future. And as for me in the near future, I'm going to be watching the Olympics opening ceremonies tomorrow. And I think they're at like noon. So I guess I'll be watching them at work.
Yes, indeed. Asante says, make Diddy the villain.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Take that. Well, if they put a scene in there where it's questionable, we don't know what he's doing, but you just hear like bad squeak sounds and stuff like that.
Is a bad idea.
Yeah.
It's a bad idea, and they shouldn't do it.
It's just hear bad squeaker sounds, and some disheveled man comes from out of there that looks slightly like Meek Mill. But yeah, Abdel says more super chats next week, guys. Yay! Yeah, guys, feel free to donate if you want. We appreciate it. But yeah, man, we're going to get out of here. Myself, of course. Infinite Umbra or Umbra Infinite. You'll find me either way on Twitter X. Tuesdays, Xbox Factor with Boom and Jamie Moran for now, and sometimes Louie. And here, of course, with us on Thursdays at 8 o'clock Eastern. And on Fridays, the Infinite Podcast.
Went to go check my internet and make sure that it wasn't me.
Yeah, OBS. Like OBS, we're finished with the show and you decide to try to mess up now.
Yeah.
So stupid. But yeah, guys, sorry, I don't know if I got where I got cut out for with you guys, but more or less come by tomorrow as well for the Infinite Podcast. It's a pre-recorded session, but it's a good talk, and we'll be in the chat with you guys to chop it up. So, but yeah, we're going to get out of here. We will talk with you guys later. Hope you all can have a good one. Enjoy your gaming. Enjoy it. No DEI nonsense.
See you around.
Later, guys.